Welcome to my channel. My name is Shoshana and I'm a guide to life. I help people navigate through the spiritual awakening and life-changing events and through emotional currents. And what I want to talk about a little bit is the expansion. As we expand, there are many times in this when we have a push forward, some kind of initiation in there, or a extraordinary progress in our expansion. We expand beyond our physical life. So we can start feeling confined in what already has been manifested in our life. And this is all part of the process, right? Because as we're expanding, whatever is already manifested is manifested from before and created momentum. And sometimes we even find ourselves in the middle of momentum and we have already expanded beyond, but we already have something going that we are responsible for, that we need to see all the way through. Or have our life starts feeling very confining, like we are closed off in a much smaller life than our new expansive self, but we don't see the path to get from here to here. What is the next step? How do I make that? I feel like I've already progressed and made that quantum leap within my psyche, or within my emotional self, or with my energetic self, but my physical world does not yet reflect the more expanded version of myself. And it can become very, very frustrating, especially when we feel this expansion, but we don't know in the physical world. When we come back into the physical world, it's like, well, where do I go from here? How do I expand the physical to represent what I already feel in the non-physical? And then we start getting stuck in those loops and in those glass ceilings again. And what's the next step? And it can be very, very frustrating. It can feel like there's a distance between who I've become and my life, and you don't see how to get from here to here. And so this is a natural process. This is something that this whole process is a shifting, and you can trust that this is divinely guided. And so it takes, in the physical world, because things have to come in the physical world according to the avenues of the physical plane, right? So you want a baby, the baby's not there the next day. The baby will has to come in through the avenues that it can be born through. So you have to wait through those 9 months as it develops and as it comes into form. And so a lot of times we when we have these quantum jumps, like we've jumped up a complete level, we've already overcome a glass ceiling that had impacted so many parts of our life. And once we overcome something that is massive like that, we have this extraordinary jump, and then we are left with a massive space, what seems like a void in between where I am in my life. And in order for that void to fill, we have to allow the time that it takes for the physical to catch up with us. And if you are always focusing on what you don't have, now this is the tricky part, and this is also part of the expansion. This is part of that spiritual awakening that we're going through, right? This is part of that maturity, that we have to be able to hold that space without looking at what it is that we don't want. Rather, hold that space of the more enlightened self while we are still in aspects of our old life. We have to use, so you can hold that psyche, that higher level of consciousness, and wait for the gap to be filled in. And there is a jumping back and forth. is a shaking, as I call it. It's like when you go through a portal into a new dimension, into a new psyche, into a new way of looking at things, into a new dimension, into a new perspective. Right, you're already living this new perspective, but you're new to it. You just overcame something that was massive, that was holding you back, and you overcame it. You jumped into this new way, this new expansion, this up one level. And and you have just been born into it, right? So it's still solidifying. It's still something that you are still sometimes, you have glitches back down into the old ways, old patterns of thoughts. You're going to be tested, right? Because your old triggers are still going to be there, and your old reactions to the triggers are still going to be. That was something that you were so programmed into for your whole life, and now you're making this massive shift, change. Enjoy it. Enjoy the process. Be proud of yourself that you are even aware enough to be able to see these processes, and to be on this expansive, in this spiritual awakening. So when you hold that higher vibration, that higher perspective, that bird's eye view that you have come into being, and you're able to hold that, then the rest of your life will slowly catch up to you. And what do you do physically? Because okay, I'm up here in la la land, but my body, I have this physical life that I'm still living. So what do I do on this plane? First of all, you trust the process. You trust that if your psyche is already here, first of all, know that there's going to be glitches, but just hold this higher level of realization as much as you can. Know it. Integrate it into yourself. Make it a knowing. And when you have those glitches, don't beat yourself up over it. It's going to happen. It's going to, as you're being born, there's going to be the pulsations back and forth. And the more you can hold it, the more that becomes your normal state of being. And once that becomes your normal state of being, you're already progressing on to the next level. But when you have these massive jumps of expansion, there can be a very, very uneasy feeling and a frustration. Like I'm stuck in this old life that is confining me, and that I feel like I'm so far expanded beyond it. And I want it to catch up already. I want to feel that elated. I want to be in that elated place. So just hold that state, know that it's natural, know that there's going to be glitches, and allow time, allow space. Sometimes it happens just like that. Sometimes you just move and something goes splink and you're out of there. You're in a different place altogether. And sometimes you have to wait for the physical to catch up. Sometimes it also takes a little bit of time to know how to apply the new perspective into your life. You have to go through enough stimulation in your life to have applied it again and applied it again and applied it again and applied it again. So there is the getting used to it and applying it, and enough stimulation, enough time, enough action in your life has to it's like enough water under the bridge or something to be able to solidify that into your life. And know that there is no void. So once you are up here, there is like this, it's like you could see gum when you pull it, and it there is no gap. So it's going to follow you. It's going to have to follow you. But if as long as you stay in your new perspective, if you keep going down here and looking at what isn't, oh, but I don't like my life. Oh, but I'm looking at my life and I don't like my life. But I don't like this and I don't like this. You are holding yourself apart by focusing on that. You are keeping that alive in your psyche, right? Because if you don't think about it, it doesn't exist. If you think about it all the time, that is all you see, and you're creating more of it. You're giving it your power. So when you pull your power away and you're looking up there at the forward thrust, this old world will have to fall apart and the new will have to follow, because Wherever you put your focus, right? The now is the only time in existence. This moment and this moment and this moment. And by the time I even say this moment, it's already gone. And so wherever I'm putting my focus in this minute is what is getting lime is getting the focus of my life. It's where I'm giving my life power to. So if I'm focusing over there and I'm not even looking at this in this moment, this does not exist, right? Because all of my focus is over there. And the more you keep your focus over there at what is coming and the grand things and the big things, you are not only bringing it into existence, you are also holding your focus away from the lack, away from what you don't want. So that slowly loses its power in your life light. It has to be that way. It cannot be different, because the only time in your life that is really happening is in the now. If you're keeping your mind busy right now and this moment in your happiness and in your joy and in your expansion, then the lack will fall away. And not only that, whatever is not in vibration with your new state of being will not come with you, because it's out of vibrational, it doesn't sync with you anymore. So you will have to create that. And sometimes there's a feeling that you have already expanded. You're already there. But in your life, you still don't know how to make the decisions that bring you to that place, right? Because you still have your old decision making mechanism running, or you still have your old program running. You don't see how to apply the new programming into your life. And this is where you have to keep faith and just believe, because the belief is power. If you believe something to be true, it is true for you. If you believe something to be true, it is true for you. And so you have the power in where you choose to put your focus and what you choose to believe. And so when you are choosing your realizations as truth, and and be easy with yourself, be easy with yourself. There's going to be going down into burning out, that we, as we go through the spiritual awakening, we go up to these elated places, and then we hit something that sends us right back down to do some more work. So whenever you're sent down, that means that there's a place here, there's a reason why I'm down here now again in this muck. And the reason is because there's some kind of limiting belief here that is holding me down in this place. And it is an opportunity. You can look at it when you go into those painful places and you get tired of the pain already. But you can, when you start seeing the pain, or that feeling of distance, that feeling of inner turmoil, that feeling that you are being ripped apart on the inside, you can look at it as an opportunity for your healing. You can look at it, okay, what is this? What is here? Let me go through. And sometimes you don't even have to figure it out. You just go through the pain and it's figured out on its own. It releases itself. Once you turn around and look at your monsters, they dissipate. They just go boom. They're just like a bubble. Um, and So trust the process. Trust the process, and allow space for the universe to quit looking at why isn't this catching up? What do I need to do? And the things that you can do are follow your excitement. Follow what makes you feel good. Follow your emotions. And you have to differentiate, right? Because sometimes we get addictions or cheap fixes, that we see it as an enjoyment, when in fact it is not the ultimate enjoyment. It is an out, or something that gives us some kind of relief, so we perceive it as an enjoyment. So you have to really, you have to weigh it in yourself, and you have to be honest with yourself and really know. But let's say, for instance, there's an art project that you want to do, but you never find the time to do it because it's not practical, because your time, you have to spend it making a living or doing something else that you dread doing. Allow yourself to do that art project, and it will slowly bring you into a higher vibrational feeling. It'll bring you up, emotionally, to where you can see the light. And so just follow your passions and they will lead you. They know the quickest path to your own release. It's your soul, it's your higher self that is connected to the divine, leading you to its own way of being able to get expressed through you, right? The pain is when we're closing our higher selves off from expression, from being expressed through us. And your highest being, your soul, knows how to relinquish that control that your ego has, because your ego and your soul, they work in sync together. They know each other intimately. They are of the same. And your soul will show you how to release it. And maybe you won't understand the I want to say like knowledge, but it's not knowledge. You won't understand I'm not going to get stuck on the word. Maybe you won't understand the path or why it's leading you in that way, but and only afterwards you can look back and say, "Oh, I see the divine intelligence in the path that was the path that had to be taken in order to relinquish this certain aspect of myself which allowed me to be free." And so sometimes it'll lead you in a direction that you think is completely off track. And then at some point you'll see the divine guidance in it, and the intelligence in it. And that was the quickest path to release whatever it was that you were holding, that was holding you apart from your own expression. And it's always the soul wants to get expression through you. It is always your higher self wants to live this life to the fullest. And whatever is holding you back is within the constraints of the ego, is within the confinement of the ego, which the ego is in fear because it's conditioned to be in fear, and thinking that it is you, which is an aspect of you, but it's not you. It is your divine intelligent tool. And because the ego thinks that it is you, and it is in fear because it is not what is it's always at a loss because it doesn't have all the answers, because it is just the container and not the actual source. And so you can just completely trust in your divine higher self to guide you. Your divine higher self wants to get released through you, and it is going to guide you, even if sometimes it feels very frustrating and just sit through it, breathe, meditate daily, meditate morning, whenever you find some time to meditate. That will ground you, that will bring you back into alignment. So meditate, breathe, and just know that there's a higher intelligence here. There's a Everything in this universe, everything around you is made up of this divine intelligence, including yourself. There's some kind of higher intelligence that made all of this, and you can trust that it also wants to set you free so that it can experience life through the fullest through you. So just allow that. And so I'm sending you so much love. If you want to schedule a one-on-one session with me, my contact information is below. Thank you.